Hello, hello. Let's wait for a couple minutes to see a few of you. Hello, hello. How are you? Hey, waving. Hello, hola, hola, hola. Hello, guys. Hey, it's great to see you guys. Hey, Mary. This is great. I thought it was gonna be maybe my mom and my sister, so this is fantastic. Hey, David. Hello, Mr. Bass. Madeleine. Meredith. Hello, Sarah. How are you? Anyway, I I am gonna start. I am very thankful for all of you that you're tuning in to this first episode of Hello, Courtney, of Deanne and of. I'm gonna stop saying hello to everybody because my Mexican politeness is gonna run us out of time. So anyway, I wanted to say also a little bit quick of thank you to my boss Ian Derer, and also our music director Emmanuel Villom, our head of strategy Lisa Bury, to give us a chance to do a little bit of a beautiful initiative called the TDO Network that we're launching. We have been creating incredible original content. I'm so grateful for my content creators that are doing this, and here I am closing a little bit the lineup on Saturday. I wanted to come here directly to you and let's start a little bit the conversation because for the ones that you don't know me, I am currently the Director of Artistic Administration at the Dallas Opera, but I'm also the casting consultant of the Bavarian State Opera, the Bayerische Staatsoper in Munich. I am gonna move full time next year. God and Corona let us go do it, and we will. And so right now I'm casting and I'm working for both companies. And when I was a singer, I sang quite a bit until 2014 when I joined the Dallas Opera full time. I sang in a lot of places. I graduated the Los Angeles Opera Young Artist Program, the CIVAM Young Artist Program in Mexico City, and the San Francisco Opera Adler Fellow and Merola. And shout out to all of them. And I felt that talking to the casting director was very difficult, was very almost taboo. It was very complicated to talk to them, and they were almost like the taboo people to reach, and it was very hard to have a conversation. And I'm a passionate of helping voices. I was there. I was nervous, and I felt the tension when one of these guys would come into the room and be in the rehearsal. So. Anyway, I wanted to say, here I am. I'm ready to shoot. I'm very, very excited because a lot of you send me questions in advance, and so let's jump out right away. I have one that says, "How do you cast productions? Lighter voices versus heavier voices?" And I have to say that for me, I have an architecture of the sound. I do think about an architecture of sound. Let's talk about imagine the 16-year-old David Lomeli in Mexico City and his Spirit, Spirit the car, and he wanted to hear the boom, the bazooka in his music that he was we didn't have reggaeton at that time, by the way, so I still want to feel that boomy sound. I like a roundness of the sound. And so when we are talking conversations with my two bosses, either the team at Dallas Opera or the Bayerische Staatsoper, I really want to hear a certain tendency to a rounder sound and let's say I want more woofer than a tweeter. So even in high voices, I appreciate a voice that can keep a roundness of the sound to the top of the range, to the bottom of the range. So that's particularly what I feel. Depending then the opera, the space, and the general formation that we're going. So for example, at the moment we are casting in Munich a Semele, right? And are we going to with which pitch are we going to do? In which theater are we going to do it? Because there are several spaces. Are we going to do it in the big theater or in the smaller theater? And that is going to determine a lot of the type of things that we want to say. There's also, like in both companies in Dallas and Munich, there's a certain expectation that we are casting a little bit of a filter system, like we might be debuting the new kid in the block, but there's an expectation for both public and board of the type of singing that we're gonna do and the type of artists that we're gonna cast. So definitely a little more try talent that maybe won a competition or they're already singing at a certain level that at certain opera houses. It's gonna get into the mix, but at the end of the day, talent, concept of the production is gonna count a lot. So that for me, it's part of the process. I do have a kind of like a console of the sound that I have in my mind when I'm starting to put together casting projects for different guys. So that's one of the questions that I have. I hope that I kind of answer a little bit about it. What else do we have? What are the things that you look for in an audition? Oh, this is a favorite one. I find that I want what I was telling you a little bit on my post. So for the ones that follow me on my Facebook, I want real, raw, and relevant. I hate fake manufacture anything. I love organic and I love the truth in that in your performance. So I am that particular guy that doesn't really care about what are you wearing. Hopefully whatever you're wearing is making you feel like $1,000,000 and singing amazing. I want all the environment as much as you can control via your repertoire list, the way that you ate that day, the way that you hopefully didn't fight with your loved one, and whoever you prayed with, that makes you center, focus, and ready to move people. Because for me, I don't care if you have high heels or flats or certain things, but I want you to move me in that performance. You either entertain me, you either make me laugh or raw or something, but you have to give me and connect with my soul in a certain way, So that for me, there's a certain part that I would love to understand, right? Like, so in auditions for me, again, I don't speak for the rest, but I do feel that right now I have the incredible blessing to be, yes, Errol, Jordans are for me, like I'm a sneaker guy, so please use your Jordans in auditions. But go on and feel like $1,000,000, like sing your best, move the performance. Whoever is changing, everybody has their own rules. For me, I would say connect with the soul. I'm gonna try to keep going because I have a lot of these ones that everybody sent, and thank you again. How do I get an audition? Well, I would say that right now the interweb has been very, 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 makes us a little more accessible. There is an info address in every opera company that normally gets trickled to the artistic department. Not all the time everybody gets an audition via that way. Definitely if you are working with a certain voice teacher or you're in a university, you're doing competitions. And I have to say, when is the right moment to ask for an audition? Is when you're ready to get employed. Like I would say that trying to know your level or trying to find where you are, it's better to find it in competitions. I definitely would try first. It's easier to get a spot in a competition to see how your efforts and your individual journey is happening. So I would say competitions first, then an audition. You can get it through an agent. You can, if a lot of us also, we are now in Facebook and Instagram, like create a conversation. Try to find ourselves. I'm always searching, and I search everything: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, email, recommendations from everybody. It's like a good casting director hustles and try to search new talent or how certain talent is developing, because the guys that I started casting 6 years ago in certain repertoire probably are starting to feel that maybe they can introduce a different thing into the repertoire. So check how they are evolving. Like I'm also fanatic to have very direct conversation with the artist, and I have a soft spot for young artists that are starting. So please feel free to send me your videos, to send me, I will get as fast back to you as fast as I can, but definitely direct contact. I appreciate that very much. This one was sent quite a few times, this question, and it was like, how am I relevant? Because it was worded in different ways. How am I relevant as an opera singer now in Corona? And this is one of my favorite topics. I would say that now, Adriana, get to you in a second. I will say that I feel that right now the Corona pause that is happening, it is an important thing to create your own a little bit original content. This has given us an incredible opportunity, and I wanted to thank you that this is an opportunity, because all of us now are in our computers, are trying to survive. So maybe not everybody is searching for new talent, but there's definitely a part of us that we are, like hearing music, trying to find what is there in the market, sometimes even for entertainment or for our own consuming. So try to have something that you are putting. I know that there's mourning for loss of employment. I know that there's mourning for loss of loved ones. I have lost almost 10 people that I personally know since Corona pandemic started. Yeah, and I woke up today to the loss of a very, very, very good friend, Gus Rodriguez, wherever you are there. And so I will feel that try to put your soul a little bit out there. You're a creator, you're an artist. It's going to be really, really hard not to not do anything. And it's controversial. I know that there's people that they are really, really trying to put their feet up. So I would say let's try to have something out there in the market. Let me go back to a few of the live ones that have happened here. From Adrian Sanchez: have you ever heard an artist you didn't have an immediate opening for and connected them with another company? Yes, I have had. Sometimes, like, I hear a beautiful artist that I don't have a piece. And it's happening sometimes now in my new role, more in Munich, because there's the programming there's definitely a backbone of Strauss, Mozart, and Wagner. So if you're a heavy bel canto artist, there's very, very few pieces in the programming that are there. So I do feel that if I found an incredible bel canto singer and I don't have that space in the roster, I can move it somewhere else and say, like, to other of my colleagues, like, if you're looking at a Moreno, if you're looking for this incredible sonambula, like, let's do it. We have a very close tie, the casting directors of the world. Like, I would say that, and we talk about it. We find, like, have you heard, like, what are your recommendations? Sometimes I'm not casting a bohème. Recently, one of my colleagues was casting a bohème, and he was like, okay, you are really, really, like, you're always searching tenors, and I do. Who do you have in your files? So that's, I definitely do it. I have another one from Courtney Stansel. Hello, Courtney. Once you've been a young artist at one place, how do you go about getting hired again? When is the time to get an agent? I think I go back to one of the beautiful advices that I got when I was singing, and I got booked by Columbia artists, or I started to be managed by Matthew Epstein, and and when I met him, it was 2006, and I won Operalia. I was very, very lucky. Shout out to Operalia and all the kids there. Um, and I thought, I won Operalia in Mexico. Was a big deal. It was kind of like the World Cup of singing. So I thought, I'm set. Like, everybody's gonna come and hire me. And while there was a few offers, I needed somebody to field the offers and also tell me which ones to take and which ones I shouldn't. Right. But only I felt that, and he told me, like, only when you have like a certain amount of offers and a certain amount of work coming your way, then you need a manager. So I think for me is like when you have a steady, let's say like you have a year that you kind of book it yourself, then I think it's a good thing to have an agent. Or if you're already a young artist in a level 1 opera company, or a really, really big top, when you're kind of singing most of the time, I would say let's that's when I would do it a little bit. Before I also think that I would leave a little bit of a space when you become a young artist program in a company until you get to sign with an agent, because you have to shop. This is a very important situation. The agent has to be somebody almost like your voice teacher, and like your husband is somebody that you have to choose, and possibly is gonna, if everything works great, is gonna be there for the rest of your life, for your professional life. And today, even when I stop singing, one of my best friends in my life is Matthew Epstein. He gives me incredible advice. We still talk a lot about my career in a different way, and so they become great advocates. My agents were all in my wedding. Like I had a very, very tight group with that. So I would say that be very, very careful. Do not just sign because you just need to feel that you're a professional. You're not a professional until you're really getting paid. Sorry, but that's what I feel in that sense. I have another one here from the ones that I sent me before, and guys from the live, please, if you have questions, I will try to fill from the ones that I got in my email or in Facebook to also the ones that I'm having here in the live. Wow, the time is running really, really fast, and so. What is the European market like versus the American market? This is fascinating. I have run now a few sessions of auditions in Europe, and the setup and the expectations are completely different. At least, for example, in the company that I work in the United States, there's a consensus of like the biggest voice that we can get, the roundest voice that we can get, and then everything else is kind of in a different tier of importance. If we get the most bombastic sound that we can get, my bosses are happy with me. I don't get fired, and and they are very, very content. By the way, also in both teams, I am not the sole voice. I am kind of the guy that like brings a lot of awareness to the process, brings new names, send tapes. I am in charge of negotiating fees with agents and singers that they are negotiating themselves. But I am not the sole person that has the full decision. There are roles that maybe both sets of teams, they don't really care. They are like, you know what, like I don't really need to be like involved in the Anina conversation of a Traviata or sometimes even in certain things, but mostly the leads, I'm always discussing it with my music directors, with my intendants or general directors, and always I have feedback before with my teams that are working with me in the artistic departments. So it's a team effort. I am just part of that sense, but that's part of one of my main responsibilities. But in the European market, it's kind of like they want those unicorns. They want the best voices, the guys that act the best, that move the best, that have the diction to the T, that I have already a certain expectation or a certain career trajectory, let's say. That it's oh, David, that's a very important question. I would say that it's also the theater is at the same level of the singing, and sometimes the theater gets a tiny bit ahead, you know. And hello, Michael Mays. Hello. And so Europe, I think that there's a full package aspect. You have to be good at every single thing, and there is a tiny bit, I'm sorry to say, there is a little bit preference of how you look, and it doesn't need to be like, oh, everybody's fit. No, it has to fit the concept of the theater piece that we are putting there, right? So whatever is that piece demanding is going to be what we are searching for, and the directors have a very big say in the process. David is asking, how different is the process of casting a wiederaufnahme or a revival versus a new production? Oof, this is very, very good. In a revival, most normally the directors don't get as much involved because they are moving to a different piece and they already created. So that is where the team of the house gets a little more of their hands on what do you want to say, or it's a perfect opportunity to debut an artist. That's why you see in festivals and opera houses all over the world that you have people debuting in bohemes, in magic flutes, in nozes, because it's pieces that they're going to get repeated, and you get to the risk of a bad performance is going to be a little less because people are going to see the piece is something that they're familiar. In a new production, people are going for the new proposal of the piece, the new vision of the piece. And so it's complicated in that sense. So I would say the new productions, there's so many people involved in the process. At the moment, for example, I'm working on 20 new productions for the Bayerische Staatsoper, and the directors and the conductor of the piece are heavily involved. So everybody, it doesn't matter if in my mind I have the perfect cast. It's a little differently. I'm gonna move on to the next one, so we have a few coming in. Should you have a different aria package for competitions and auditions? I would say that in competitions you have to sing what you are already ready. Like, let me say, actually, no. You have to have, in both situations, the competition, the areas that you're ready to rock and roll, that you are feeling that you can sing at any moment in time of the day and in any order, in both, because auditions and competitions, you're never going to know how they're going to ask you the piece. So practice in different order your arias. I eventually, when I was singing, I was, I'm a very, you can hear it's a tenor, very French Italian tenor. So I had Che Gela Manina, Faust, Nemorino, Lucia, Italian tenor, and then I threw up a couple of things depending the person and the opportunity that I was going for. But I could sing at any moment, any configuration of 1 and 2 independently. So same package and go for it. Competitions sometimes have a specific rules or auditions rules, but the core of your aria should be there. I would also recommend you to, if you can, start with an aria that is a little more commercial for the rest of the people. So not everybody has an incredible knowledge of how the piece should be sung or written, or what is the tradition X, Y, and Z. So if you start with an aria that is completely unknown, and sometimes people are just going to look at it's an incredible piece, but they are still going to ask for something that they can compare you with. So be smart. At the end of the day, you're competing in an audition and a competition. You're competing for something, for a prize or for a job, right? So thank you for the guys that are sending. From Baz, Barry, Tim. So in Europe, stage directors are involved in casting for a new production. Yes, mostly yes, especially in their higher houses. The big names of directors are not going to put all their firepower if they are not content with the casting. It's a negotiation that happens. At the end of the day, the main producer has the last word, but they are heavily involved. Yes, present the best of you too, right? Madeline. Great. Hello, flippers. That's Leah Crochetto. I'm gonna move to another one. How does the size of the voice matter depending on which theater is casting? Oh, definitely. Um, in the big theaters of the United States, you have to have distance. You have to have distance. It's very kind of filtered. It filters you a little bit, the size of your voice in the United States. It's the smaller, I think, level one opera house in the United States. It's above 2,300 seats. So you have to go for it. I'm not saying push. You have to have squealer, you have to have distance, you have to have point. And in Europe, there's, the Varietà has 4 spaces, and the biggest one is 1,900 seats. So already you're a little smaller than the smallest house in the United States, so you can get away with that. The difference of the Varietà is it's open pit. So, and that orchestra plays like an army. So it's that's why it's very important also who's conducting in every place to keep a balance of the voices together. But definitely there's a way that I feel in the public and in the general consensus of what I'm seeing in Europe. Voices are tendently a tiny bit lighter, but they are sometimes theater more oriented. In the United States, I feel, and again, it's just my personal appreciation, what I feel, we go for bigger voices because just the barns that we need to fill, they are humongous. So it is important, but that's technique, guys, technique and genetics. So you can still make an incredible career with a smaller voice if you're singing the right repertoire, if you are prepared correctly, and you have the right agents, you have your own marketing. I just graduated. What now? Now what? Well, I think. Well, first I didn't know if it was graduated of an undergrad, or I'm gonna assume that it's a master's degree. So you already got a little bit of experience, right? I would say that sometimes getting and knowing where you are in the workforce, it's a really great insight for you. So and some of those, you have to invest. Unfortunately, this is a very expensive sport. It's like I think that we are comparable to when a kid says like I wanna be a golfer, a professional golfer. We need equipment, we need lessons that are $100 an hour when they are like near to the pro level. They're very expensive. So, but sometimes you need to still know in summer camps, in pay to sing programs, in competitions, you really need to know where you are. In ice skater tennis, yes. So knowing start thinking about yourselves, and this is a problem that I have with the industry, and I hope to develop in future episodes, is that we need today to start thinking that we are competing with every single entertainment option that is available today. We're competing with YouTube, we're competing with Netflix, we're competing with restaurants, we're competing with cinema. So you have to treat yourself as that kind of professional performer anywhere. So you need to do market research. You need to do, you have to have a channel. You have to be a little bit of an influencer. There's no professional musician that doesn't have an important Instagram, Facebook, YouTube presence. You have to connect with your audience. Like we have experienced it. Like we presented people in our Titus recital, that is our lead recital every season in the Dallas Opera. And we are super controversial opinion of the day. We have incredible, very famous, and I would say like in the age range also above 50 performer, 50 years old performer, right? Incredibly famous person, and that person sold 60% of the house, right? It was a very beautiful recital, incredible level of performance. And then we presented somebody that it's a med star, has had several HDs already in the market, has 60,000 plus followers in Instagram, and the demographics change also in our lead recital. You know, Angel Blue just sold out in last year, and look at her Instagram. So it does has a little bit correlation, and I'm sorry because a lot of the industry is gonna come and crash all over me, but the ticket sales don't lie. And the younger generation that we saw in the theater that day cannot lie, you know. And there's a demand. What we experienced this week in putting original concerts and original content in our channel, we were 1,000% more engagement with our fan base that eventually translate on ticket sales, correct? So you have to have a conversations with that treats you as a professional entertainment. So guys, the game is changing. It's not only about how well you speak German, how well you speak Italian. It's also how well you speak with your Instagram, how well you talk to your donors. It's now the game. The stakes have been risen. And sorry for my grammatical mistakes in English. So you have to go at it. And I know a lot of people that don't like it or they're not good at it. You can learn, you know. So I put yourself out there. You're going to connect with your audience in a different way. You're going to connect with your casting directors differently. So I would say that's a very important that it's going to happen. Cross promote sometimes, you know, like you know how Crate and Barrel matches with Kim Kardashian to promote a certain towel. Well, sometimes the opera houses, if you're hired in one of them, connect with the marketing department and say, like, I would like to do an Instagram takeover. Like, can I do a clip? And that is gonna like connect you a little bit with a different part of the audience. And the moment that you go on stage, people are gonna recognize you from the very first in a very different way. They're not gonna have to just read your bio, right? They're gonna say like, oh, this is a person that was doing this and that and that. Like, let's become smart at entertainment, because if not, our art form is gonna die. You know, like, we have to start thinking like pros. This time today, for me, punch me in the gut, because we were not prepared. The industry was not prepared. We were not digitally prepared for with really beef up content that we could spew. We're all now struggling to find the magic key to keep us relevant with our audience. And in the United States, at the same time, with how are we asking for keep donations coming. You have to engage. You have to be a brand that they recognize you. Brand recognition is a very, very important aspect today. Do memes count as community engagement? Depends. If they feature you and they are like viralized and people start to connecting your brand with that picture and who you are, like, yes. If it's out of context, well, you know, you might become a celebrity, but you might not become a celebrity in the industry. So anyway, yes, Madeleine, copyright issues, oh my God, lots. And we're suffering. And I beg to whoever is hearing us in the publishing industry, in the unions, help a brother out. We cannot expect today to be paid for promotional things. Controversial aspects, and this is me. This is not the Dallas Opera. This is not the Bavarian. This is me. This is a very, very important issue. We need to be able to put content that promotes. When I was signed for as a pop, and yes, I was one time a pop star at some point. We had to do a lot of promoting of our CD for free, because it was promoting. We wanted people to buy our record. So we didn't get paid to play in the mall. We didn't get paid to do X, Y, and Z. We were on a certain salary. And like when a big opera company has 3 minutes available per production for promoting of things, is very limited to how we sell and package our experiences. So yes, we have to work with our unions and our publishing to change that way, because if not, the industry as a whole is gonna collapse. You know, like, what I feel very, very blessed now that I also get to see how certain houses in Europe do their thing. And every month you get to see 2 productions online. and that doesn't happen in the United States except at the Metropolitan Opera that has to pay an immense amount of money. Like, guys, like, we have, I believe me, like, I'm a performer myself, and hello, Eileen Paris. I think that we have to be able to promote ourselves as best as we can, and let's say, do you think that Stephen Curry gets paid for the trailers that the NBA is putting? And yes, he gets paid a lot of money, but he gets paid to play basketball, to be an ambassador to that brand. So we need to be able to compete with those. Again, I go back to the concept. We are in an entertainment business. People are booking our nights to go into the theater, to get into a restaurant, and like, these experiences in opera today are tremendously expensive, right? No matter in which side of the planet. If you want to go to the opera, you're going to probably have a dinner. You have to go to you're gonna have an Uber, or you're gonna have to pay expensive transportation to get there. You're gonna get a seat. It's gonna be 3-4 hours of your life. If we're asking our public to give us 5 to 6 hours of their lives, and they're spending between, it and depends. We have very cheap options nowadays, so I'm not saying that it's completely expensive, but it's expensive also in hours, right? Because our stories are not always short. So you have to make that experience valuable for your client. So be relevant, be real, and be raw, as I've been trying to inspire everybody. So, well, that was a half of a monologue. So I'm going to make a Coke Zero pause. You got me going on this one. So thank you for that. So I am going to, oh, this is really fun. This is, yes, exactly. Access builds audiences. I agree. Courtney, you're on fire today. How do you feel about the age limit for young artist programs? Some voices develop later than others. Yes, I feel that that it should be always evaluated case by case. Everybody has a different journey, maybe because the word young implies certain part of the spectrum of age of what we consider young. But I also did young artist programs where there were guys with me that they were late bloomers, and they were 33, 34, 35 in San Francisco or in Los Angeles or even in Mexico City. And also because they had bigger voices, so but I think it's a case per case. I'm dropping a lot of my truths today. I would hope that eventually we brand them a little bit different, because America uses the young artists in a different way today. There is a certain, and let's not lie to ourselves, there's a certain economical benefit for both the singer and the company. The company definitely is playing because we're going to ask you to perform in the main stage certain amount of roles. Amen. Or cover, right? And those are AGMA certified, if you're in the United States, paychecks. That if I hire somebody that is not a young artist, I have a minimum of $900 per performance or something like that, right? And then it goes above. So if we're gonna circumvent that by hiring somebody that is young for the opportunity, exactly, Eileen Paris, amen. A resident artist would be a more empowering title, because then we can bring so many people, and that's what I experience now with Munich. I like a lot that there's an ensemble, that there's people that get paid a monthly salary with healthcare. And but then we get to use them in the company and we pay them. We create repertoire. It's a very, very, very specific thing, Madeline. Yeah, well, there's also an incredible amount of beautiful technique that happens in Asia, Madeline. I agree. So I think the resident artist would be a little more empowering title. So there's also the other marketing part, that the youngest discovery happens, and we have to be careful of that. So it's a lot about packaging, Yes, I agree, Courtney. It's also the sad part of being in the entertainment business. It's a very specific window that you have to enter, and then you have to keep reinventing yourself. every day to keep yourself at the top of the queue. If not, and I have felt it, when I was starting to sing, Aline and Leah that are here with me, they can attest that there was always somebody behind us that was pushing us to keep us, relevant. And the roles that we started 15 years ago are not the roles that we're singing today. Maybe one or two we keep it, right? But let me see a little bit of the comments today. Personal responsibility is essential, and I urge a lot of more of the people that have done this walk, that have done this job, and went through the full trajectory of young artists, conservatory, competitions, certain amount of career, that if for some reason, like in my case was a big illness, that I couldn't find a cure on time to keep all my contracts at the level that I wanted to keep doing it, and that's why I switched, right? But if somebody feel that there's something they want to have a personal life, to walk it, because we need people that have done it. We are a very strange sort of entertainment where, in other places, actors become directors, producers, they have their own producing, and they have a certain control on how it's going to operate the business aspect. But here, if you're a great singer, you can be until 80 and you never touch an administrative situation if you had good management. But we need to have more representation in unions, in management, in administration and casting of the people that have walked the walk. So again, that's my personal situation here. So hey, hello. I think I lost myself a little bit on this one. Here it is. Sorry. There's so many comments and questions that are happening so I'm thankful for you guys. So what else do we have here? I'm picking from the group. How do I get a fest? This is a good one. Be a good singer. It's technique and being a good package and a good product that always gonna get ahead. And then I would ask a certain part of your personal story, like who do you are and what do you want to achieve in life? Do you want to have a balance of life balance where you can go to work and come back and your family's there and you can take your children to school? Then a fest most probably is going to be you, but then the value of performance, mathematics, economics that you're going to get, since the risk is smaller because you are just working with one company and you're just singing in one venue, that they're going to pay you a little bit less. Your brand is going to be affected because if you're singing in all the major opera houses, your brand start to get in demand. It happens to me when I want somebody, like, if I want to hire Aline Perez, like probably she's not free until 2026. So there's a certain demand that I have to balance, right? But also for my friends performers that are here in with me, it is important to the sacrifices that we have had to be at that level of performance, no matter which venue, no matter which air we're breathing or food we're consuming, you're expected to sing at this level. So the risk and the cost of your personal life is really higher, but then the mathematical, economical reward is a little bit higher. So who you are, how much you want to risk. There's more risk in every single move if you're a freelance not associated with a fest. But so I will ask then one, and then if you really want to go to fest, then you can write to the opera houses, and I think the fest system is really only available in Austria, Switzerland, and Germany at the moment. So try to go and organize a little bit of a tour, and I think I'm gonna do a little episode about how to sing there. So I will come back to that. From Megan Kodch, going back to agents and management. How do we shop around and find the right fit? How do we discern a good one from a bad one? I think do a market research, and it's very easy with two things, Opera Base and Google. So let's say that you're an American singer and you wanna be a performer and you wanna sing in certain houses. So I will go and I will say, let's say I'm going to go to img.com and I'm gonna check the vocal roster, and I am a high coloratura soprano with kind of like that. I'm just making and check what who they have in the roster and where do they sing, right? So if that is something that you see, like, well, these people are employed singers, and also see the characteristics of the people that they are, right? Who they are and what are they doing. So I would say that it's a lot, just because there's a still market research, it happens. Then I would go into the second thing that is also a very important aspect, like try to get a face-to-face or at least a phone interview with the manager that you can, and sometimes cold approaches are difficult, but I will try it. I will try to attend places like master classes or lives, or connect with them in Instagram. It's also or in Facebook, like try to attend a place where they are going to be in a different setup. I'll know that a lot of managers are in competitions. A lot of managers are doing now lectures and situations. So try to have a connection with them, and then exactly what Michael said, like if you're singing or a certain soloist that is with a certain manager that you seem that career is going really well in your opinion, talk to that artist, right? Like talk and be like, hey, what's your manager like? Personally, when I was 18 years old, I got one of the greatest advices from the big one, from Luciano Pavarotti. And he's like, David, I was very lucky because I was I have a very hard time saying no. I have, as a performer, I have a desire to be liked, but my business cannot be always based on who I like and what do I do. If not, I would sing every day 6 times in different countries, right? So I have to have somebody that sees the business vision, and sometimes that person has to be a person that says like absolutely never, right? And you have to have that confidence that advice is for you. So the personal rapport is a very, 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 very important thing. The time is flying. So should I study with a vocal teacher or a coach? That's a full episode about it. I think that you have to work with somebody that at the end of the day makes you feel that you're singing better, that the market is responding to that advice, to your singing in a different way. Let's say you're getting callbacks, the competitions are getting more successful for you, your auditions are more successful. At the end of the day, I want you to start thinking that all the connections that you do in your business have to be oriented as a business, and they're hard because we are in a very, very emotional entertainment business, right? So it's very complicated. If you and I felt it all the time about this, and I went through different switches of who was in my team of singing, right? During my career, and I started with my mom and my grandma kind of like telling me how to breathe, and then I had to move to different people, and it's very hard, the breakup or the switches. So again, a voice teacher is another person that is part of your team that should be researched and decided as almost like somebody that is going to be with you for a long run. Because if it's successful, it might be the same teacher for all your career, right? So if that teacher is giving you good resorts and you're not getting tired and you're not getting any other conflicts, that's a plus. But then maybe a teacher that it also is helping you to obtain your marketing goals, right? Those marketing goals are very important. You want to be employed, so everybody that is coming with you has to have a plus. And I know that I'm controversial, but I was a singer from Mexico, from nowhere land, that had to hustle, so that I had to survive. So you have to create good business decisions for your own wallet if this is how you're going to pay your bills. Okay, so don't be afraid. Really, don't be afraid. What else do I have here? Oh, bonus points if your teacher and manager have a relationship. Yes, not having good relationship between your teacher and management, it is very, 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 very hard. Thank you. How do I get a mentor? Well, hustle. Hustle is a thing. Research. What do you want in a mentor? What is what you get from a mentor? For me, my mentors today are very different mentors that I have when I was singing. When I was singing, I look out for mentors that were that had the career types, or they were artists that they were giving me something personal. So I wanted to know how they were unlocking that part of their talent, or that part of their technique, that part of the business, of that part of an experience that they were giving to me. So I reach out very, very, not always vertical or lateral, but sometimes a little perpendicular, because I would reach to dancers or to pop stars or to fado singers, right? Somebody that unlocked something that it was valuable for me. Breathing coaches, like something like that. But now today I search for somebody that helps me to achieve a vision that I have for the casting process, but also for the industry itself. I am passionate about what I do, and I'm incredibly lucky that I have my Mexican pulse in so many parts of the industry. So I search for successful businessmen that know how time management works. I want to shout out a little bit to my father-in-law, Tom Garland. He just retired of Avis Budget Group, and he helped me a lot with time management and a lot of things that as a businessman in a company, as a representative of a company, needed to do. So that was really, really, really great. I will get to you before I go out, Adrian, for your questions. It's a good one. I'm a huge fan of Mike Ovitz, and whoever doesn't know him, like, Google him, run to buy his book. His name is Mike Ovitz, O V as Victor, I T as Tom, Z, and he has a book called Who is Mike Ovitz? He was the creator of a creative artist agency. And at some point, he was the manager of Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg and major creative forces. And he has an insight of how to create entertainment that blows my mind. So it is a very, very, very specific situation for me. Goodbye, Leah. Thank you. I love you too. And I see you on Tuesday. Tuesday, with Leah Corchetto and I, we're going to go mano a mano. So tune in her channel. Adrian, how should artists view cases where they've sung for companies 2 or 3 times and they were never given feedback? Well, read the market. And if they don't... I think I just got myself in problems saying Mexican pause, but if they're not giving you feedback, probably it's because they're not interested in your product. So that's the feedback. Also a lot of the guys that are doing my positions around the world, like, we receive informational offers, auditions, emails, and calls, and we have to attend auditions and blah blah. A lot of the day. So if they're not getting you, they might get you at some point, but if they haven't given you, also move along. If they don't want you there, like, go another one. This is a really worldwide business. So like when I was singing at the time, this is how strange the world works. I sang, or I had contracts at the moment, or I was in the process to sing with 8 of the top 9 opera houses in the United States. And the one that I was not singing was the magical, beautiful place where I go to work now every day at the Dallas Opera. I was not hired at Dallas Opera. I sang for them twice, and they never hired me. When I came into the job, I read my audition notes from the casting director was before me, and he said he's an incredible artist, but at the time there was other artists that were singing my fag in that house. You know, Brian Himmel was singing in the house, Steven Costello was singing in the house, and Michael Fabiano and James Valenti were singing those things. But I was singing those roles in San Francisco or in LA or in other places. You know, so just keep at it. You know, when I graduated my engineering degree, for the ones that don't know, I'm a computer science engineer, but I was always singing. So when I started singing, I decided outside of Mexico that I was going to apply to the Houston Grand Opera Studio, the San Francisco, the Seattle program, the LA program, the Berlin program, and La Scala program. And the very first time I got denied by all of them, but 3 years later, I had contracts with 7 of those, and by 5 years later, I sang with all of them. So one no doesn't mean a no forever. So I would just go and keep hustle. So before I go out of this, because as you can tell, I can monologue as one of the best. I have a good breath control. We have a lot of a lot of things here, but I want to also say a big thank you to a part that is of the company that is not always very recognized outside of the organization, you know. So I want to say thank you to our board, to Mark LaRoe, to Holly Mayer, to Ann Stewart, Cindy Feld, Lynn Mock, Thomas Madry, Dr. Wildenthal, Steve Penrose, Scott Chase, Mike Baker, Mr. Thomas Hanlon, Jimmy Seitz, and Steven Sulentrop, and Mr. Hamlin, because without them, we wouldn't be surviving this crisis. So thank you to the Dallas Opera Board. Thank you for giving the chance to a creative team. I'm also wanting to thank all my team in the social media, the TDO network. In the controls, we have Annie Penner, that it's a magician, and like I caught you if you steal her from my team. Carolyn Walker, the same thing. Quo Johnson, Christian Roberts, and also our content creators that we have today. Please follow the Dallas Opera. We are spewing an immense quantity of content. So watch out on Monday for the incredible Lee Sudfan Late Night with Lee Sudfan. Tuesday we have Diana, the fabulous Suzanne Vinnick is coming on to the lineup. On Wednesday, As Maestro with the wonderful Emmanuel Villaume. Thursdays we have Quo and Christian telling us how it is today, the diversity on the business. And also Michael Mays is coming to the lineup. Friday we have the most important millennial nerd, an incredible singer and friend, Nicholas Brownlee, who Push and Praise coming in. And on Saturdays I'm back with you guys. So I see you next week, Saturday at 1 p.m. CST on Saturdays. I see you. And tonight, don't forget, we have one of the most important tenors of our time, the one and only, a personal idol, Matthew Polenzani on Instagram at the Dallas Opera. It's coming in conversation with our boss, Emmanuel Villaume. So, guys, I'm so really moved to see 300 of you plus around with you, that you tune in. See you next Saturday, and go dominate. Okay?